Caravan after caravan is forming unvetted illegal aliens trying to flood into our country on your dollar, overwhelming your schools, depleting your resources, and endangering your community.
They're telling you the existential threat to America is a bunch of poor refugees 1,000 miles away. They're even taking our brave troops away from their families for a political stunt.
Well, there's the back and forth on the campaign trail as you see the president and the former president back and forth. The president is finishing this campaign blitz in West Virginia, Indianapolis tonight, Montana, Pensacola, Florida tomorrow, Georgia, Tennessee on Sunday, Ohio, Indiana, and Missouri on Monday. But he's also riding a wave of good economic news.
America now has the best economy in the history of our country, and we want to keep it that way. In the last month alone, we added, this just came out a few hours ago, 250,000 jobs. That's in the month of October, by the way. That's for 1 month. And nearly 500,000 Americans returned to the workforce. We've created 4.5 million new jobs since the election.
So that October jobs report was stellar. Even critics of the president say, yeah, it's pretty good. 250,000 jobs, 3.7, 49-year low for the unemployment rate. If you look at the changes in the economy since the president took office, GDP growth, unemployment rate, real bump in consumer confidence, and average hourly earnings are up, which is a big deal as well. So with all of that, let's bring in our panel. Josh Kraushaar is political editor for National Journal. Molly Hemingway, senior editor at The Federalist, and Charles Lane, opinion writer for The Washington Post. Okay, Josh, we haven't heard that much, a ton, about the economy on the trail. Today's jobs number clearly is a closing argument for some of these Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the problem from the White House, that you don't hear the president talking as much about the economy as he is about immigration. And, in the red states, in Missouri, Indiana, West Virginia, I mean, immigration is a pretty potent issue. It is something that is rallying the conservative base. But when you look at the House map and you're looking at, how many seats could end up flipping in suburban areas that are just a little bit uncomfortable with that anti-immigration, anti-illegal immigration rhetoric, there's a lot of Republican strategists that are wondering why President Trump's not talking about all the good economic news and focusing so much on immigration.
Molly.
Well, as James Carville noted, it's the economy, stupid. People really are motivated, particularly when the economy is bad. When things are not going well, people very much want to throw the bums out. I think the main significance of the economy being so good, and it's been really good for a while now, is that it has tempered that desire to throw the bums out or completely change the management of the country. And a lot of it is just directly tied to Republican policies, whether it's tax cuts or regulatory pullback or any of the other things that the Trump administration and Republicans in Congress have done. And particularly noteworthy, I think, is the increase in hourly wages. A lot of times we've had good economic news where it seems to benefit the wealthy and not necessarily trickle down. This is really good for employees and people throughout the economic.
Speaking of the immigration issue, in one race in Missouri, it is playing interestingly. The incumbent Democrat speaking about supporting President Trump. Take a listen.
Stop them at the border.
And what do you do? When they get to the border, what do you do?
I think the president has to use every tool he has at his disposal, and I'm 100% back him up on that. Whether it is turning them back because we are not equipped to handle that many asylum claims into our system.
If you're for it, prove it. Take your name today. Take your name off Dianne Feinstein's Open Borders bill. Claire McCaskill is sponsoring that bill in the United States Senate. She has been for months. So put your money where your mouth is. Take your name off the bill. Do it right now.
Chuck, the Republicans call it the Open Borders bill. It's actually not called that, but it is a bill that Feinstein, every Democrat signed on to, and it essentially has this thing that says you can't arrest anybody within 100 miles of the border, even for anything, if they're an illegal alien.
My reaction to a lot of the things the president has been saying over the last week is that he is playing on people's fears, particularly with respect to this caravan, which will probably peter out long before it gets to the border. Having said that, he's not doing it by accident. He's doing it because the fears exist. And Claire McCaskill's interview with you epitomizes that perfectly. I believe Joe Donnelly is saying similar things in Indiana, and he understands that in red states he has the Democrats on the defensive. And with respect to that bill, that just illustrates the Democrats' inability so far to come up with a popular message regarding immigration that speaks about the issue in a way that's both positive toward immigration and capable of gaining a majority. Instead, you have people like Claire McCaskill kind of running away from the National Party and the Washington-based party and their message. And I think that if there's any hope or saving grace for that within it, for the Democrats, it has to do with Josh's point about the suburbs. I think the red-hot stuff that the president is presenting on immigration may be turning off moderate and more moderate Republicans and women in those suburban districts that they need to hold.
We'll see, and we'll see how much the economy and this final jobs report moves people one way or another. I want to put up the power rankings as of tonight before I get race by race. In the Senate, we have it really the same as we've had it, 50 Republicans, 45 Democrats. This takes a look at the races, the leans, the likelies. We have 5 toss-up races there. That will decide the balance of power there. In the House, it keeps shifting. 31 toss-up races. Now we have it down to 29. You need 218 for the majority. That is where the Democrats are better positioned to take over the majority. Only need a few more to pick up about 17 to get that if you count the likelies. All right, race by race. Josh.
Well, one of the House races that I'm looking really closely at is the 6th District of Kentucky, Mitch McConnell's backyard. It's a Trump district. He won it by about 20 points, but the Democrat, who's a celebrated military veteran, Amy McGrath, is running neck and neck with the Republican Congressman Andy Barr. McConnell folks are really watching this race closely. It closes early. We'll know the results pretty quickly. It's a big bellwether.
Molly.
I chose Pennsylvania 16. This is the kind of race that if Democrats win this, it will point to them having a very big night. This is a district that Trump won by 20, that Romney won by 5. You have one poll with Mike Kelly up and another poll with Ron DeNicola up. And so depending on how that goes might be an indicator of the whole evening.
I tell you, those House polls are tough. You know, it's just not... It doesn't seem like it really sticks. All these polls are kind of 1-2 points, could really swing each one of these races.
Well, since everybody's using the number 6, I have the 6th district too, but in Illinois.
Seriously, it's 666? I don't know if that's
16.
Oh, okay.
Peter Roskam is the incumbent Republican. He's been there since 2006, and Republicans have held this seat since 1972 through all the blue waves that went to and fro in that time. But Roskam is in the race of his life against Democrat Sean Casten. And this is one of those races that really epitomizes, because it went for Hillary Clinton. This district went for Hillary by 7 points last time around. A lot of Republicans retired rather than run in districts where Hillary won. Roskam is giving it a try. If he can't pull it off there, I think it's going to show there's a long night ahead for Republicans, because it's typical of those bellwether, now purple suburban districts that the Republicans have to hold if they're going to have any hope of keeping the majority.